In this video, we're understanding the role and the importance of an A&R and actually understanding why music has declined to the point where it is right now. So before we even get into it, guys, I need you guys to all go and subscribe to the Manager's Playbook because this channel is filled with so many gems. You're looking at gems from industry people that have years of experience, and you're probably going to learn more from this and the book, like for example, the book I showed you guys the other day, Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business, than if you were to actually go to college or anything like that and actually learn directly from a lecturer. I'm not saying don't go and get your education, but be reasonable with it. You're probably going to learn with someone that's actually been in the field rather than someone that hasn't. Do you get it? So,
Sony ATV director, Atlantic director, Universal Music Canada, but that's just like a sliver of time that you've been in the business. You've been in it for 18 years?
Correct.
Polydor Senior A&R Manager, Sony ATV Director, Atlantic Director, EMI SVP of A&R.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about A&R. What's the main role of an A&R in 2025 from your lens?
From my lens, the main role of an A&R person is to identify talent and convince the rest of the label to care. That's it. I think you identify something that you feel is compelling, and then your job is to get a deal done that feels ambitious around the project and basically convince the team that are working the record that this is going to be the second coming and drive the ambition of that record through the company.
Now, guys, you need to understand that this guy's experience is over 18 years. And if you look at his track record, go and do your own research. This guy has literally broken so many artists all around the world. Now, he must know what he's talking about. As an A&R, you need to understand that your job is literally to be the bridge between the artist's vision and also the label. The label does not know how to communicate with creatives. I say it all the time. Corporate people and creators is like oil and water being mixed together. Like, we're speaking two different languages. Whereas you got, say, someone like an A&R that might not be musical in terms of like knowing how to play the keyboard or make beats or whatever, but they have a great musical ear and they're able to articulate themselves in the way the labels actually understand. They are the bridge between the two. Do you get it? So I always say an A&R is the person that's able to actually carry the vision of the artist and communicating effectively towards a label. And unfortunately, we've lost that in today's day and age. We don't have people that are actually willing and bold enough to go out and actually be A&Rs and actually, you know, challenge the grain and challenge the label execs and say, yo, we believe in this artist, we need to push them, put budget into them, etc. And to be honest, social media's contributed to that as well. But let's actually dive further deep before I even go into that explanation.
Which is a very hard thing to do.
So take me through that. What does that look like? Because I don't think people understand that you actually have to really rally the troops at the label, right? So like, what does that look like? And do you have an example of what you did?
Yeah, I think just sort of broadly speaking, I think what it looks like is we have A&R meetings every week. So you do an A&R meeting, an A&R guy would bring in a artist that they think is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We'd sort of look at their data. We'd sort of look under the bonnet of the, what you call it, the trunk. Is it trunk here? Bonnet?
The trunk, yeah.
You look under the front, and you look into the project. You'd look at the data. You'd see whether it's got engagement, whether social media's happening, whether the artist is good live, whether the artist is compelling, and you'd sort of try and build some sort of idea of what the artist proposition is, and then what would happen is the A&R and me as the head of A&R would sort of look at what a deal would look like, potentially.
Okay.
So we'd say, okay, this artist is potentially the next Amy Winehouse. It's going to take X amount of records to get to that place. It's going to take this amount of budget. But we think based on what we've seen here, if we do X, Y, and Z, we can get it to the Holy Grail. And we've got the characters on the floor, as in the marketing, the sort of team that can actually drive the project through.
Are you talking to the marketing team as well when you're...
Yeah.
So before you even get into that, like, it's literally just that. Being able to communicate that vision effectively with, again, the label lot. Now, he mentioned a few things there, such as social media and, you know, the artist engagement, etc. It plays a factor, but it's not the deciding factor. I feel as if though what's happened now is that a lot of A&Rs don't understand what he's talking about, where he's saying, cool, you need to understand all different things that contribute towards building the entirety of what an artist actually needs to be. What the new A&Rs are doing and what labels are now starting to lean towards is that it's literally a case of, okay, cool, if we see someone get a couple million on TikTok, let's throw a bag at them. And that is what contributed to multiple industries dying in real time. In the UK, we had, for example, the Afro swing genre come and go literally within a matter of like 2-3 years, which is insane, by the way, guys. hip hop, for example, has been here for, I believe, around 60 years, 50, 60 years off the top of my head, right? It's quite a new genre in comparison to the rest of the genres, but it keeps on getting better and evolving and evolving and evolving. So imagine a genre coming out and literally going within the space of 2, 3, if not 5 years max. That's insane, guys. It's insane. And that's happened literally because we're relying on the algorithm to dictate, okay, this goes, etc., rather than listening to what the artist is saying, listening to actually whether this artist has longevity as well, and actually understanding what the fans really want, not what they're being told to want, if that makes sense, right? So it's a skill set. And if you're an A&R watching this, I really challenge you. I know it's hard because you're not incentivized to do this in the short term, right? To go out, to find an artist, to develop them, to fight for the artist as well, and actually make the artist and also the label understand that it might not actually be an overnight success. It will take a long time, right? When you're seeing all your peers basically just blow up artists literally overnight by doing all the fast and the shortcut routes. I know it's a long-suffering type of role, but I'm challenging you guys that if you are able to do so and actually get artists to, you know, understand the vision, get the label to understand the vision and actually go long term, then trust me, you're doing everyone a great service. And that's what breathes careers such as, for example, what Rich Castillo has, which is 18 years in the game. You don't want to be an A&R just here for, let's say, 1 or 2 years, do you?
Yeah, I think at the start, I think at the A&R meetings, normally, so if it's something that we love and we really feel is a goal, we bring a marketing person in and we'd have a conversation about what are the sort of moves we've got to make to try and make this work. So before we've done, yeah. So you have to feel like you can actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we used to do at EMI, there'll be a girl called, I think Lucy Dan, who was like head of marketing. And we'd find something that we love and we'd sort of go, look, we want to sign this. We think we need it to be a few albums. We'll start off with an EP. And then she would come in and she would go, okay, cool. That timeline feels okay. The deal doesn't feel great, but we need to sort of tweak this and tweak that in terms of what we're going to spend on the artist. And then if we feel we've got a chance of actually breaking the artist, then we go and put an offer in.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And obviously,
I still find it so crazy that we're able to literally just be flying the walls with all these podcasts and stuff like that. Like conversations that are happening in the background, thanks to social media. I know I literally just clowned on social media 2 seconds ago, but thanks to social media, we now have access to this. You know, platforms are being created where maybe the people behind the scenes, for example, they're coming to the forefront. I remember as a producer and also as an engineer, there were certain tutorials that I always wanted to be able to see coming up that are only coming to the forefront right now because people understand the importance of content, etc. But back then, it was like you had to really, really search for great tutorials. You had very basic information. Everything else we had to learn on the spot or learn as we basically went. But now, you can literally, if I had no producer knowledge or engineer knowledge or experience, you can literally learn how to do that skill to a great level within a month or 2. Now, will you have the skill set of actually knowing how to coach an artist and record an artist and actually get the best vocal out of the artist, etc.? No, right? So there's pros and cons with what actually happens here, but it's still an amazing time that we're actually living in. And even watching this, I'm just like, wow, like it's crazy. I'm even able to listen to 2 hours of game from this guy.
See, most people back themselves. Most people are there to try and make sure they can break the artist. So a lot of the time, people sort of push deals through thinking they can do it and then sign the artist, and then it becomes a lot more tricky than they thought.
Yeah.
And then other times, and I think you find that with smaller labels, you have a small crack team of people that are really zoomed in and focused on what the proposition is, and you're able to sort of move through the label. As long as you've got the co-sign from the president, I think you can deliver a project.
Yeah. Nick Raff was actually talking to me about that. He says he only signed 2 artists every year, even when he was at Capitol, and it was like a team of 11.
Yeah.
Someone both you and I know.
Yeah. Yeah, and so with Nick is like the exception. I think Nick he's so confident and so like obsessive in his approach.
Right.
And with him and Joe Charrington, who he worked with for a long time, they were sort of the exception to the rule. I think a lot of other labels were signing lots of things, hoping that one thing will go.
They're gambling.
But I think because of how their deal was structured and how they sort of did their business, they were able to sort of really not do the volume game.
Yeah.
They were able to tap in and really zoom in on that. But I think that sort of speaks to Nick's character, which is what we sort of should talk about as well. I think what you'll find, the common sort of timeline with a lot of these superstar artists is somebody at the top who's super obsessive. You've got like a borderline madman in the mix who's the sort of president of the label, or someone who's just relentlessly sort of focused on breaking the artist, who has control of the budgets.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Very, very true. Even when you look at, for example, the artists that blew up in the Rockefeller kind of period as well, you had, like, for example, Dame Dash, who was the crazy one. He said, yo, we're going to make this work, etc. Then you had the other two that basically played towards their strength. So it's yeah, man. I always say being behind the scenes in the music game is some of the most rewarding but also thankless jobs. So if you really want to, how can I say it, make it and have longevity within the music game, especially behind the scenes, I'm not even talking producer and engineer. Now, I'm talking about people like the A&Rs and the people that actually working in the corporate side of it. You have to be a real music fan, or you basically know how to play games and play politics. So basically get to a point where now you're the head of a record label and now it's just a money-driven kind of thing. Do you get it? But you have to be a music fan if you want to really become successful in this. And whenever I speak or hear from A&Rs and people that have been in the game for a very long period of time, they all have that same trait. They really love what they're doing, you know? Like, they've sacrificed so much for it and they'll keep on going because they love the music. So, my people, I appreciate you locking in with me and actually watching this. I definitely recommend that you watch this video in entirety. I'm going to actually take some time out to watch this video. If there's any other bits, I'll probably make like some clips, or I'll make, you know, further reactions on the same thing, because I know it is jam-packed with a lot of information. Do you get it? But without further ado, I'll see you guys tomorrow.